This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Happy New Year and welcome back to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and sitting right across from me is our boy Andrew, fresh off the holidays, going to give us this week's topics.
Well, it's our first show of 2020, and to celebrate the occasion, we reminisce over the decade that was and look forward to the next 10 years of Detroit sports. Specifically, we answer the question, what is the one thing we want to see happen with Lions and Pistons this decade? We also give our overall thoughts on the Lions season and discuss the recent turnover in the coaching staff. Damn, that was a mouthful.
That's what she said.
Starting off the year right.
Always gotta. But what did you want to start with tonight? Well, first, Andrew, let me ask you this. How was your holidays?
It's good.
Did you have a good holiday?
Relaxing.
Yeah?
Very relaxing holiday.
I got sick over the holidays.
Yes,
I
you
practically died. I caught a nice case of the man flu. As every man in the world will attest to how awful and just absolutely terrible it is to be that deathly ill. Mm-hmm. But other than that, though, it was a good holiday. I got to see lots of family, lots of friends, kind of do my thing. But it was good it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Did kind of miss doing things, doing the show. But what did you want to start with tonight? I know you mentioned like 3 or 17 different things in the intro there, so let's get to one of them.
Let's knock the Lions out real quick, and then we'll do
starting on the
stuff.
downfall. Starting 2020 with a bang.
Yeah. Yes.
Let me ask you this:
If
you had to sum up the Lions season in one word, what would it be?
I mean, disappointing would be the cop-out answer, so I want to give you that. I'm gonna tell you this: gratifying.
Why?
Because they actually did what I wanted to do for once and bottomed out.
Oh, okay, fair. That's fair. I would say hopelessness. And the reason is because every which way we looked, there was hopelessness. Whether it be Lions at the beginning of the year getting our hopes up to then die miserable deaths at the hands of the refs in the Packers games, at their own faults throughout the season, and then constant injury after injury leads to loss after loss after loss after loss, as well as just total ineptitude on the part of the coaching staff, as well as the depth of this roster. Hopeless was the key theme for me this season. There was no hope for a win after about week 4, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where I went with this one. But I guess what are your thoughts from, what kind of thoughts do you have closing out the year? I know we've broken this team down repeatedly throughout the season, and until things kind of started to just hit that one note that never changed, that we were just becoming a broken record by the end of the year, saying the same thing over and over again of, hey, let's get rid of this coaching staff, or hey, do we give them another shot? You know, so what are your kind of final thoughts as we close out the Lions season here?
Well, I have a couple thoughts. For one, I'm actually comfortable saying I actually do think this organization did tank.
Oh, I actually agree. I don't think they tanked at first. But I think
once like we were like 3 games down, they were putting all these people on IR, like all of a sudden.
Once
like,
you started seeing guys like Jeff Driscoll and all those names start to go on IR, I'm like, okay, maybe there's maybe they are kind of bottoming out here.
And they did it in an interesting way. They were like leading in every game. They're like, all right, you can have it now.
Yeah,
we just want to show you we can beat you, and then you can have it.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
They scared the crap out of me in Green Bay. I'm like, don't do this now.
Yeah, they could have really ruined their draft pick there.
Do this now.
But I was happy that they bottomed out this year. Yeah. Like you mentioned, it was good for them to finally do something that you could say that we wanted by bottoming out, by grabbing that top 3 pick.
Yeah.
And not screwing themselves out of a top 3 pick by winning a game that they shouldn't, whether it be beating Tampa Bay or beating Denver or beating Green Bay, which they almost did. But they didn't. And that's something that we've seen the Lions in years past do, or the Pistons in years past do, or the Wings in years past do. They find a way to screw themselves out of a top pick by winning a very meaningless, a very meaningless ball game. And this team this year did not. And
I agree 100%. But on the flip side of this, I think the more negative takeaway I have from this season, besides the fact they're losing games, is they, at least ownership, and not for the first time, came away looking kind of spineless.
You mean the Ford family? Spineless?
As I said, not for the first time.
Wait a minute there,
but
bud.
Not just the Ford family. I think Bob Quinn, too. I think, and even Matt Patricia, I think the coaching staff, the ownership, all came away from this looking spineless because coaching on the hand of the coaching staff, they didn't, when the season was still young and we still had a chance to do something, they refused to make any adjustments at all and just kind of stuck to their guns the entire time. Like, oh, this is going to work. This is going to work. This is going to work. Oh, shit, it's not working.
It's a refusal to adjust.
And then spineless on the part of ownership in the fact that they didn't make the proper necessary changes in terms of the coaching staff, because now we're looking at a top 3 pick, and I don't trust Bob Quinn,
or
GM,
Matt Patricia
to make
Bob
the right
Quinn
pick.
has only had a handful of his draft picks in his 3 years now, 4 years now, something like that. In his tenure as a Lions GM, only a handful of his draft picks have actually panned out here. And the ones and there's a lot of them that have panned out elsewhere, but that doesn't help us anymore. And when you've only been a GM for 3 or 4 years and you're already getting rid of guys and giving up on guys, and then they go blossom somewhere, that's a negative mark on your record.
And that's why I say spineless, because can you think of another reason other than, I just don't feel like doing a coaching search right now that they would bring back Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia? Can you think of one legitimately
blind belief? They have blind hope and blind belief.
That's not a good reason.
No, it's not. There isn't really a good reason to keep either one of these guys, because they inherited a roster. Granted, there is a lot of roster turnover, but they inherited a roster that was 9-7. That was going to the playoffs every other year or close to. Wasn't winning anything, but with some poor coaching decisions on the field away from winning playoff games. They took that roster and that trend, that upward, or I guess you could say flat leveled trend, and destroyed it. They've won the same amount of games in 2 years as Jim Caldwell did in the 1 year. And I'm not saying Jim Caldwell was a good head coach, because he was not. He was a good coach from Monday through Saturday. When it came to game day, he was a terrible game managing head coach. Terrible. I couldn't stand watching him coach the Lions. He was terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't want him here. I'll admit to that. But just because I say that Matt Patricia's not good, and he's not a good head coach, and he's not better than Jim Caldwell was, doesn't mean I can say I want Jim Caldwell back. I don't want either one coaching this football team right now, because I don't believe in either one of them. Who I want coaching, I don't know. I don't know what the new candidates or the hot candidates are out there, to be honest with you. I'm not in that mode of searching for a head coach right now because obviously we're not going down that road, so why would I waste my time? I don't believe in this regime. I don't believe in this coaching staff. I don't believe in this supposed defensive mastermind head coach that was 68 yards away from giving up the most yardage in Lions history.
Yeah.
And by the way, the team that gave up the most yardage in Lions history was that 0-16 2008 team. What is there to believe in with this coaching staff? I know Paul and the whole Paul Pasqualoni stepping away from football instead of just saying, "Hey, dude, just pack your shit and go." What the hell is that?
He didn't step away. He just told you, we're going to give you an option if you want to walk away so it doesn't look bad.
That's called a, "Hey, you're my mentor and I don't want to fire you" kind of thing. That's what it is.
Exactly.
But they now have 8 coaching vacancies, which no surprise there. I was shocked when I saw them bring back Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia for this upcoming season because again, this
they're
is
admitting there's
trending
a
in the wrong
problem with the
direction.
coaching, but they refuse to take out the nucleus of that problem.
Right.
Like
It's
like, here's the mold. Let's scrape off the paint.
Yeah. I don't understand what the direction of this Lions organization is now. I guess we're in a total rebuild. It didn't seem like that when they said we're better than 9-7. But I guess we're going down the route of a total rebuild now. We have a 34-year-old quarterback who's had now 2 straight campaigns shortened due to spine injuries, which not good. 2 different spine injuries, mind you, which again, not good.
Yeah.
What's the direction of this team moving forward now? Obviously, we're bottoming out here, and if you're going to do a complete rebuild, why would you bring your head coach back? You don't start a rebuild with the same guy who put you in the situation that you're in.
Oh,
you
Lions do.
Sure. Well, I mean, in years, even in decades past, they didn't really do that. When they had a guy that bad, they kind of fired him and then brought in the next guy to be terrible. It doesn't quite make sense to me what they're doing here.
Have we ever? When was the last time Lions fired a coach after 2 years?
Oh,
like 2 years flat.
Didn't Mariucci have 2 years? Didn't Morningwig coach for 3 or 4, maybe?
Let me look this up real quick.
I mean, you can,
because I know we had Caldwell for more than 2. We had Schwartz for more than 2.
Yeah, but before that, it was the constant carousel, hop on, hop off train.
Marinelli we had for 3.
Okay.
Mariucci was fired in his 3rd season, and Dick Moran replaced him. So Mornwig would have been the last one. Mornwig was 2 years flat.
I mean, it was a carousel coaching back then for the Lions. Let's be honest. I just don't understand why you're looking at a rebuild here with a GM that hasn't shown an ability to be successful in the draft, hasn't shown an ability to be successful in free agency, hasn't shown an ability to be successful in trades, as well as a head coach who's shown no ability to be successful at his job. So why are we starting a rebuild with these guys as opposed to starting fresh like, most teams do when starting a rebuild and allowing a new regime to build their roster?
You know what's interesting, by the way? Back to the Mornwig thing. He also inherited sort of Patricia 9-7 football team. And at the end of 2nd year, 3 wins.
When did Morningwig grab his... What season was his first year?
The 2001 season's first, 2002 season's 2nd year.
Okay, pretty sure he inherited a team that had just lost Barry Sanders.
I know, but it's just funny to think that he inherited 9-7 football team, and then in his 2nd year, he also had 3 wins.
I could be wrong. Barry could have retired the year prior, but let me look at the...
Barry retired 99, right?
99. Okay, so he inherited a roster that was coming off a season where they lost Barry Sanders.
The 2000 team did not have Sanders, did they?
He is on the team in Madden 2000. I know that. It does not look like he was on... Well, hang on here. He was not on the team in 2000.
Okay.
So he retired before that 2000 season, so he picked him up the next year. But he did have the likes of James Stewart, Corey Schlesinger. I miss Corey Schlesinger. Good quarterback or good fullback. Charlie Batch, as we famously remember him.
What a squad!
I'll say. Yeah, you had Herman Moore and Johnny Morton though.
But yeah, I just find it funny that parallel. I just noticed.
It is interesting. Funny. He had some good players in the defensive line. Luther Ellis, Robert Porcher. He had some players. Chris Claiborne. He had some players back there.
But do you want to take a little positive stroke with the Lions here?
Sure.
So in the past decade, we've seen more downs and ups, but we've seen a few high points for the Lions.
We have.
Do you have a favorite Lions team from this past decade?
Lions team? Probably that Lions team that went and lost to Dallas
that would be mine.
In that controversial picked up PI flag, because I do think
The first Caldwell team.
First Caldwell team. I do think that team had some ability. They had a mean streak a little bit.
It was 11-5 football team.
Yeah, it was 11-5
right
football team. They were good on both sides of the football. I thought they were a complete
that was when
team.
Bell and Bush were still a quality tandem together.
Yep. That was probably my favorite Lions team of recent memory, of the last decade.
The defense,
at least.
you still had a healthy Ziggy. You had Sue.
Yep.
You also had Glover Quinn, Darius Slay back there.
Yep.
You had DeAndre Levy. I miss.
Probably second favorite would be that 2011 team that Stafford threw for 5,000 yards. That was a fun team.
100%.
Their defense, if I recall, wasn't very good, but their offense is pretty damn
That
good.
defense was good. The Schwartz defense, that was good.
I don't think that defense was very good. That 2011 defense, I don't remember. I don't recall being all that great. So I know they didn't have a ton of talent there. I know they had Sue, and they had.
Yeah, that was a team that had that line of Willie Young, Sue, Averill.
Yeah, Willie Young was terrible back then. Willie Young didn't really blossom for a couple years after that.
And that was when Tulloch was still effective.
Tulloch was effective back then. I remember Kyle Vandenbosch was kind of on his way out because he was old, but Willie Young wasn't very good yet.
And then we had DeAndre Levy.
Fairley
was on that line too.
Yeah, but Fairley was terrible. Let's be real. Fairley was terrible. He was terrible. He never blossomed. He was terrible.
Up to. He had those moments.
Yeah, everybody who's 320 pounds has their moments along a D-line.
And then one of my favorite lines of the decade, Louis Delmas.
He was always so overrated. I was never a big fan
I just
of
love
his.
how he would just hit with reckless abandon. He'd come in like a missile, just
yeah, and then he'd miss the tackle every freaking time. He'd hit one of four, and it would be, oh, what a blow up! But then he'd miss the other three. I remember him well.
I remember always seeing clips of his antics in the locker room and stuff. He seemed like a really funny guy. I don't know. I thought he was a good locker room presence to have for that team. But I agree that the 2014 team is probably my favorite Lions team this past decade. Followed closely by that 2011 Jim Schwartz team. All the attitude issues in tow
kept him in the news. So I don't know. There's obviously things that I want this team to do that I don't believe they're going to do. I want them to look at maybe grabbing a quarterback at number 3. I think there's going to be plenty available there.
Yeah.
I think the health of Tua Tagovailoa is a big factor as well. But I do look at them being, a team that should be looking at a guy to go after a quarterback, because I don't know that how long Stafford's going to be playing at a premier level. I mean, you're talking about 2 straight back injuries. You're talking about dude's got a family now. His wife just went through and survived brain cancer.
Yeah.
He's 34 years old. He's made a lot of money already. Hasn't won anything. So maybe he doesn't even care ultimately if he wins anything. So how long is he going to continue to play? And besides that, how long is he going to continue to be effective playing football? Again, he's how old is he actually? Is he 34? I thought he was maybe he's 33. Stafford.
I think he turns 34 in February or something like that, right?
He's only 31. Just kidding. He turns 32 in February.
32 in February.
Yeah, so, sorry, he's 32 years old by next football season. So he'll be 32, so, how long is he going to continue to play? And also, by the way, you're going to have to re-sign him pretty soon. Going to have to give him another extension pretty soon. So we'll see exactly what happens with that.
What kind of money do you think Stafford commands?
Playing like he did this season, you're looking at a $30 million quarterback. Yeah. I don't see why not.
Do you think he gets on the open market?
Oh yeah, I think someone gives him that money on a 2-year deal to go play and try to win somewhere. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd be really interested to see what Stafford does on a different team. I'll be honest with you.
I would too. Because I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback by any measure, but I think he's a good quarterback who, in the right system with the right weapons, can make something happen.
I was about to ask you, do you think in a different system, do you think Stafford could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback?
Yes. I don't think he can do it himself, though. Yeah. I don't. I think he needs a running game. Yeah. I think he needs good targets to throw the football to that can make plays after the catch. And I also think he needs a coach that can help him out as well. And I think he needs a good defense. He's not a guy who, like Aaron Rodgers, who can totally put a team on his back throughout the playoffs and take them to the promised land. He ain't that kind of guy.
Looking like it this year.
I mean, sure.
He's been.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is also getting a little bit older too.
Yeah.
He's no spring chicken.
Is it
anymore.
weird that I fully expect him to just like turn it on magically in the playoffs?
Oh, I do too. Oh, I 100% do. It's Aaron freaking Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's discount double check.
Discount double check.
That's what he's known for. He's got the porn stash in the playoffs for a reason. All right, there, bud. No, I don't know. I don't believe in this regime. I don't. I don't believe in this front office. I don't believe in this ownership group. I don't believe in this coach. I don't believe in any of it. Yeah. I don't think this roster is put together very well. I don't think there's enough depth. I don't think there's enough talent. I don't. There's not a lot for me to believe in with this roster. And the 12 and 11 or 12 and 1. Excuse me, proves that.
Is there anything Lions can do this offseason that would get you excited for next year?
Sell the damn team.
I'm talking like actually personal moves that the team, that the coaches staff can make, that Bob Quinn can make.
Draft your quarterback of the future. That's what I'm looking
So I
at
want to
here.
spend number 3 on a good quarterback.
On a quarterback of the future. I don't know if it's Justin Herbert. I don't know if it's Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know if you find a way to get up to number 1 and grab Joe Burrow.
No chance.
No chance. But
Cincy needs him way too badly to give that big.
I don't know if Cincy blows it and decides to draft Chase Young and then you trade up to number 2 or they blow it too. I don't know. But
it would be quite a miracle.
Honestly, I don't think it's actually that strange of a miracle for that to happen. Because you know damn well that Chase Young's going to get hyped up going up to the draft. You know damn well. Because I do believe Chase Young's the best player in the draft. I personally believe that. I think he's the best player in the draft. I just don't think he's a quarterback, obviously. That's why the quarterback would be likely taken number 1. I still believe Chase Young is a better football player. However, you see this a lot with young quarterbacks coming into the draft, where you start seeing certain things get discredited, and you start seeing certain scouts come after him quite a bit. And because of that, the Bengals may go after Chase Young and say, hey, this ain't our guy. We're looking at Trevor Lawrence next year. Dude, go that route. It's happened before. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying I expect to see a lot of negative news come out about Joe Burrow as we get closer to the combine, as we get closer to the draft, to try to dissuade the Bengals from taking him at number 1. They may get cold feet and go Chase Young because, again, I do believe he is the best football player in the draft. It's not even that crazy to believe that they'd go that route because it's happened before. Personally, I think Joe Burrow is a crazy good quarterback.
I know. I'm just not seeing. Well, I mean, I guess I could see why we would want to go to Cincy. I mean, it's a small market, and the fact that that team seems like eternally doomed to just be mediocre.
No, I don't think it's Joe Burrow's camp that would do that. I think it's other NFL scouts that would come out and have a lot of negative things to say about Joe Burrow. Oh, his footwork isn't right. Oh, his arm slot needs to be tweaked. Oh, his ability to change the play at the line isn't quite up to par. Oh, he doesn't read a pro-style offense as well as we thought. That type of thing happens
going like
every
on lines
year.
of like Burrow sinking his own draft stock.
No, that type of thing, though, happens every year with every single quarterback that comes into the draft. Every single one of them has some detractors out there saying this, that, and if the Bengals get the right one in their ear, telling them negative things, I could see them taking Chase Young number 1 overall.
Yeah.
I personally think it's the wrong move because I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback prospect we've seen in years.
If you're that front office, you jot down.
I'm already at the podium.
I'm already seeing with your eyes.
Right, I'm already at the podium with Joe Burrow's name in the envelope. Personally, if I'm
the draft start yet?
Yeah, I'm already there.
Are we on the clock?
They basically are technically, but again, my one wish for the Lions this offseason that would be to get them, besides obviously the Fords selling the team, that ain't going to happen. It's to draft your quarterback of the future, whether it be Herbert, whether it be Tua, whether it be find a way to get Joe Burrow. It's one of those guys. I'm looking. Your quarterback's going to be 32 years old, coming off 2 straight back injuries. He ain't getting any younger, and he ain't getting any cheaper, and your team isn't winning with him, and your team isn't winning without him. So maybe it's time.
Now, moving past this offseason and going to the decade, or one wish for the Lions this decade. And again, can't say cop-out answer Super Bowl, so I'm rolling that one out.
Ooh.
And
can I say just a division championship?
can? Yeah. I have mine.
Here, I got mine. It is a win, a playoff win on home field, and for the Ford family to finally say okay, we get our stadium is boring as hell, and hopefully a playoff game in Detroit will get you to spruce things up a little bit. Okay? Because part of the experience of being a fan and part of the experience of wanting to come play here is playing in a cool-ass stadium. That'll help. Yeah. It's a home playoff win along with the added bonus of having a cooler stadium, upgrades put into that damn bland-ass arena because it is boring as shit in there.
Yeah. I think mine might be a little fueled by current events within the organization, but my one wish for the Lions this coming decade would be consistency in the coaching staff, as in find a winning head coach that can be there and consistently bring success for multiple years, not just like end this coaching carousel of misery.
I mean, we thought we had that with Schwartz. We thought we had that with Caldwell.
Exactly.
We had them for 5 years each.
I need a guy.
You need someone there for 10 years.
Like a Mike Tomlin.
Okay, that's the most consistent head coach in arguably the history of this century of football.
Belichick, but
besides Belichick, and this century of football or this decade of football.
So I want, because that's one thing the Lions. That's one other than a Super Bowl or a playoff win. That's like one thing the Lions have never had.
Well, that goes along with a winning football program. That goes along with a winning football program.
Yeah, but the coach can help you get there in
when
terms
did you
of
get
winning.
A Fitbit?
Oh, this was a Christmas gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A coach can help you get there.
You don't work out. Why the hell you need one of those? What are you, just playing it as a Tamagotchi, but you're keeping yourself alive?
But a coach can bring a winning environment, a winning culture to an organization, like a good, consistent, winning
absolutely.
coach.
It's a culture thing, 100%.
So that'd be my wish. I mean, obviously, both would wish for a Super Bowl, but I don't want to get the cop-out answer.
That ain't ever going to happen.
All right, let's switch over to the Pistons. Again,
before we switch over to the Pistons, did you see Dylan Larkin pleading to the fans not to vote him into the All-Star game?
I did not see that.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that could be voted into the All-Star game for the NHL, and he's pleading the fans not to vote him in. He doesn't want to do it.
But why?
He just doesn't. He goes, I prefer the rest.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Alex, I mean, the Wings suck. Yeah. Like they are the worst hockey team in the league right now. They're in a total rebuild.
You bring up a good point. What the hell you need to? It's not like you're playing for something. Just like
I mean, so they do have Tyler Bertuzzi, who's already
in the playoff season.
Tyler Bertuzzi's already an All-Star, and he'd be one of the fan vote players and one of the last ones. Did you see Alex Ovechkin is refusing to play in the All-Star game?
I did not see that.
He is, and he's being suspended for it.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Anyways, is his thing also you want some rest?
Yeah.
So he's probably happy about the suspension. Oh, sweet, I get to rest.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and move over to the Pistons. Go ahead and lead that off.
So, yeah, similar to what we did with the Lions, looking back at the past decade for the Pistons, I think this one's an easy answer, but what do you think was your favorite Pistons team or moment from the past decade?
Favorite moment?
Yeah. Favorite
from the past decade?
Favorite team, favorite moment.
Oh,
kind of what we did with the Lions.
Yikes.
I feel there's only one team I can even grab onto from the past decade, and
I don't even know that there's that.
That's the team that broke the playoff drought.
Sure, the team that got swept by the Cavs.
That was easily our best team of the decade. By far.
Possibly. I mean, I don't even know.
44-38.
I thought that I'll be honest with you.
Only above 500 team of the decade.
I'll be honest with you. I think the team last year was better. However, I think team last year was better, but Blake Griffin being injured in the playoffs and going up against a buzzsaw in the Bucks killed it. I think that team last year was better.
Destroyed every single game in that playoff series.
Yeah, because the Bucks were that damn good and you didn't have your best player at all.
No, but I think the reason I picked that 2015-2016 Pistons team, well, besides the fact they're the only team above,
I didn't like that. I'll be honest with you. I didn't like watching that team play. I hated watching that team play. I thought they were boring as shit, and I thought they looked like children.
Besides the fact that they were the only above 500 team for the Pistons this decade.
Fair.
For me,
in a terrible Eastern Conference,
that team actually gave me a level of hope for the organization because that was a team that we finally brought in when we brought in Tobias Harris. You remember how excited I was for that trade?
Oh, I thought bringing in Tobias was a great deal.
Brandon Knight was actually Brandon Knight. Wow,
Brandon Jennings,
not even Brandon Jennings. Reggie Jackson was actually playing decent that year. Drummond was still young and he still had to improve the free throw shooting, but he was doing Drummond things.
I'm pretty sure that was his historically bad season.
But
where he single-handedly couldn't play games because of his free throw shooting.
There were these bright spots on this roster, and it was a very young it was the youngest roster in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
But see, that was one of the reasons I didn't like watching that team play because they played like they were kids. They didn't play put together.
I know, but
they
there
didn't
was so
play
much budding talent. Team, you had Spencer Dinwiddie come off the bench, who I love.
Yeah, but okay, they played him 12 games that season.
No, he started for half the season when Ray Jackson got hurt. Remember?
Whatever. It wasn't the Dinwiddie who went to the Nets. It was a different Dinwiddie back then.
He killed it when he started for and
and then they stopped playing him.
Yeah, stupid.
Okay, there's my point.
But yeah, like I'm just saying, like you had a lot of young talent on this team, and it was the first time, probably the only time all decade where I legitimately had hope for the future for this team. But then we blew it all up.
They did. They absolutely blew it up. I was pretty disappointed with the way. I mean, it obviously wasn't working. They were capped out entirely. Like they were in the luxury tax with that roster. Their draft picks were terrible. Stanley Johnson was nothing more than a bust. Dinwiddie they traded away, who was their best draft pick in the last 10 years, probably, outside of maybe Drummond. The team direction-wise wasn't going the right way. The coaching wasn't good. The front office wasn't good. That team needed to be blown up. And they did it, but they didn't do it right. And the one thing that, I guess by default, that's the winner. Sure. By default, they broke the playoff drought. Granted, they got swept by the Cavs, but the team last year was no better. I do think that team last year was better than that team in 2015, but they had injuries at the wrong time that kind of killed them. So, I mean, I don't know. Neither one of them really excites me all that much, to be completely honest with you. And that team in 2015, I didn't like watching them play.
You don't really have much to pick from.
No, you don't. I didn't really like watching that team in 2015 play. I thought they were disjointed. I don't think they played well together. I think they looked like shit on the floor. They just found a way to win games every now and then in a terrible Eastern Conference. And a terrible Eastern Conference that they finished as the 8th seed in.
See, so, I'm quite the opposite here because I thought this team played better together than what I saw from last year's Pistons team. Last year's Pistons team, we saw a lot of ISO ball.
It did.
And
it looked good.
It's fun to watch, but I couldn't say it worked well together.
See, I never really thought that 2015 team played well together because I don't think they did. I think they played a lot of pick and roll ball and
it was
just
a lot of pick and roll.
It was
going
very, very simple, ugly basketball that was not exciting to watch. And I don't like that style of play. I never have. I like offenses like what the Pistons ran in 04. They actually ran basketball plays and they picked apart defenses that way. I loved watching that.
That's got used to be a beauty watching the defensive end.
Exactly.
They used to put on a clinic.
Exactly. I like teams that actually run an offense. How's that?
As difficult as it is to be, let's try to be optimistic about the Pistons here.
Yikes. What are they, 10 and 22 now?
12 and 22.
12 and 22.
What's your
Are they making the playoffs this year?
No.
Oh, wow. Oh,
I'm calling the season done right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not even giving them a shot to go on a hot streak.
You just gotta look at how they're playing. They're not.
They look like shit. They look so bad.
Yeah. But Pistons wish for the next decade, for the new decade. I know I have mine.
I want a team that I can get behind. I'm not calling for a championship or anything like that because that's cop-out. I want a team that I can actually believe in. I want a team that I can align myself with, much like I did the Going to Work crew.
So all you're looking for this decade is a team that has some heart.
I want a team, not just with some heart. I want an identity. I want a team with identity.
You're on track of mine.
Like the Going to Work crew had an identity. I want a team with identity that the city and I can rally behind and actually go and enjoy watching play basketball.
You basically took my keyword, but
identity.
I had like a different path to get there. My big wish for the Pistons this decade is I want us to draft, to finally land a young superstar in the draft. And a young superstar that we can build around and, like you were saying, form an identity around this guy.
One of the things I liked about that 04 though, is they didn't have a superstar.
I know, but that doesn't really work anymore.
I know it doesn't. It's a different era of basketball. I mean, you could argue it didn't even work back then.
Dude,
they were the lone exception.
I had a dream that we traded Thon Maker for Devin Booker.
Okay, all right. Wow, talk about dreamland.
And I was like, I don't know what we told the Suns, but oh man, but yeah. So You could, I mean, yes, you could argue the Pistons did draft the young star and they drafted Drummond, but I'm talking about a young playmaker. Someone you
can't argue that.
Someone you can actually build around.
You can't
really build around Drummond. You can't build around
Drummond. He can't be your number 1 or number 2 guy. He's at best a number 3 guy, and frankly, if he's your number 3 guy, I don't know what you're winning basketball games.
So
definitely not championships. He's got to be your number 4 guy. You got to do. Here's how you win with Drummond.
Draft your top.
I know.
Scorer.
I know. I'm talking. You're talking draft your number 1 guy. But if you got Drummond on your team, he's got to be your guy that does nothing but sits around the rim and puts back balls and grabs rebounds. That's it. That's always good for you. You can't run offensive plays with him. You can't trust him in the post to put a move on somebody. He doesn't have a post game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Trash me all you want. I've watched this dude play for what? We've watched him play for what? 7 years now? Has his game progressed? Absolutely. But not in a way that's working in today's NBA.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Yeah. So, because right now, Pistons teams, past couple years, we haven't had any sense of direction whatsoever. It's just been a kind of befuddled mess. So that's what I'm hoping that with my decade of wish, they would bring to the organization is a renowned sense of direction, sense of purpose, sense of identity. You have a guy that you can rally behind, that you can build around, and that could hopefully take you to the promised land. That's my Pistons wish.
I mean, that's a good wish. Obviously, that's kind of the route I was going with it. I want a team with an identity that the city can rally behind.
Yeah.
Something that people actually like to go down and watch, because kind of bad times down at LCA, and this isn't a good way to christen a new arena with attendances that are 40% full, and
I'm sensing
the wings are no better.
I'm sensing a theme in our wishes. I think there is exactly. I think consistency is a through line through our wishes.
Because and don't get me wrong, we have plenty of consistency with Detroit sports right now. It's just consistently. My God, it's consistently fucking garbage.
It is not the.
This is honest to God, in my 26 years of life here on this earth, this is the worst era in Detroit sports I can even imagine anybody's ever lived through. I've never seen a time period in any city sports outside of maybe. Shit, I don't even know if I can even think of one where a city's had 4 major sports teams and all 4 are this bad, near the bottom of the league in all 4 sports.
I remember as a kid. I don't know if it was 97-1.
I don't think 97-1 was around when we were kids.
Well, I'm trying to remember what was like the prevalent Detroit sports station when we were like. I'm talking like
I don't know.
Late elementary school.
I have no idea, my friend.
Like WWJ, like News Radio 950, like I don't know. All I remember was their slogan was "Where Detroit sports rules the world," and like it was at a time where like you could honestly say like maybe other than the Lions that there were Detroit teams on top in every sport.
I mean, the Pistons weren't really on top then. 98, 99?
I didn't say 98, 99.
I said late
school. I said late elementary school.
Oh, late elementary school. Okay, so like 04.
Yeah.
The Tigers were
where were the Tigers early 2000s?
Terrible. Like historically bad. They tied the record for worst record in baseball in 03, my friend.
Oh man, then maybe it was closer to like 06, 07 then.
That would make a little more sense.
06,
that would make a little more sense. The 06 Tigers went to the World Series. You had the Pistons who were still on top.
Yeah, I just remember
the Wings were in between cups then, but they were still near the top, and they won one in 08. That makes a little more sense. Lions were bottoming out.
When
yes.
the Lions been anything, anyways.
True.
But yeah, I just remember that, and I just like when I think of Detroit sports now, I'm like, can we go back? Can we go back to when Detroit sports ruled the world?
I mean, I remember just probably 5-6 years ago, Detroit was voted the best sports city in America. I mean, we were on top. We were the best sports city in America. The Lions were a good football team. The Pistons weren't good, but okay, they weren't good. The Tigers were still a good baseball team, and the Red Wings still making the playoffs, but kind of near the end of their era. They were kind of forcing the playoff appearances at that point, get 25. But
and I think that's the collective wish in general of Detroit. Detroit sports fans is a return
to greatness.
Is a phoenix. Detroit sports becoming the phoenix that rises from the ashes. If you catch my drift.
I thought you were gonna make a reference to the city of Phoenix and their sports. And I was what the hell are you talking about? I mean, the Suns are terrible.
Phoenix rises from the ashes.
I mean, the Phoenix Coyotes this year are a really good story. Like they're playing good hockey, but I think the Diamondbacks are still a halfway decent team, if I recall. But, I mean, outside of that, the Suns suck. Cardinals suck.
Yeah. But anyway, so cheers to a new year, a new decade.
Yes. Cheers to that.
Let's hope for prosperity this decade instead of the futility.
Sports prosperity. I like it. Let's hope for a better decade. Unfortunately, none of our teams are even close right now. If I had to pick one team I had the most hope for moving forward, it's the Wings.
Yeah,
honestly,
I agree with
they've
you.
got the most young talent that I can trust right now, even though they are
I think
completely
the Pistons
bottomed
are gonna
out.
have to rebuild again.
Absolutely. Blake Griffin isn't getting any younger
The
or
Lions are
healthier.
going to have to rebuild
Drummond's
again.
going to be, personally, I think they're going to end up letting him walk. They're either going to end up letting him walk, or they're going to end up signing him to an extremely outrageous max deal, and it's going to anchor the Pistons for the longest time for the next decade. It's going to destroy their entire salary cap situation. They're never going to win anything.
Yeah.
So I think the crossroads for the Pistons and whether or not they're going to have a shot at greatness or be a middling, mediocre team for the next decade is going to be what they do with Andre Drummond in the offseason. Because if they trade him, that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
But if they let him walk, that's not as good, but you're not hindering yourself for the future. If you re-sign him, bye-bye success.
Yeah.
Because you can't be winning basketball games with a guy like him on a max
No,
deal.
sir.
I would not give him one personally. I like him as a player. He ain't a max player. Anything else before we close out?
That's everything.
it. Alrighty. That's going to be it for today, guys. Again, Happy New Year. It's another year of the Fan Report as we actually are starting to, I believe, get close to our 1 year with Detroit Sports Podcast, our 1 year episode. I'll have to check when that actually is. I want to say it's January or February.
No, I feel like we've been doing longer than that.
No, I don't think so.
Because we're
We're only on episode like 50s.
Yeah,
like
but
40
we
something.
started before we moved to this apartment.
No, we didn't.
We were recording shows in your old place.
I don't think so.
100%. We'll talk about
Then
it.
how are we only on show like 40
We'll talk
something?
about it off here.
Okay. Anyways, guys, thank you again. We'll catch you next week. Hope you enjoyed. Check us out on our live show, www.twitch.tv/The Fan Report. Go live on Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Check out our Twitter, @RealFanReport. And we will check you guys next week. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. This has been The Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
For fans.
Have a good week, guys.
Peace.